Hello and welcome to the very first video on Dylan Does Education. This is designed to help you boost your marks for your GCSEs, and the first video we're going to be concentrating on media studies today. So if you don't do media, I suggest you leave immediately, or you can just watch, if you're going into something media related, although you probably have taken media already. So let's get straight into it. Obviously I'm going to show you how you can boost your marks in the 4 questions, 60 marks altogether. Obviously your coursework has obviously been sent off, so if you haven't done so good in that, you want to boost your marks here. Now we're going to be talking about the questions first of all, and what they are and how you can boost your marks. Question 1 obviously consists of how your 2 TV shows that you've picked. I have personally picked Doctor Who and Game of Thrones. I wouldn't recommend picking anything over a 16. Game of Thrones is obviously an 18, however I know the show very well and I think I could talk about it quite a lot. Basically it asks you to show how your chosen TV shows show how they have used a variety of things to engage the audience, such as a diverse range of characters. Now, you can boost your marks in this by making sure you use the fairies, such as your Blumler and Cats, your Todorov, your Barb's Enigma codes and stuff like that. You've definitely got to keep mentioning them, and make sure you look at specific scenes within your shows. Otherwise, you've got to be very, very specific. Otherwise, you're not going to get the marks. And yeah, make sure you look at all your fairies, because otherwise you're not going to get any marks there either. Otherwise, you're not able to get any marks. Now, also, you're going to have to cover all 3 bullet points equally. It will give you 3 bullet points for the past 5 years. It has, so it's unlikely to change. In addition to that, you've got to think about your timing, because it's very easy to spend ages doing one thing, because you've got to cover them all equally. Obviously you spend about 20 minutes on the question, it's 15 marks. So if you've got to think about your timing, don't spend ages talking about one scene, make sure you cover them all. And yeah, that's basically it for question 1. Also, you don't have to talk about both of your programs for all of the 3 bullet points, because that might take you ages, so you can cut it down if that makes it easier for you. Now, question 2 asks you to make a TV pitch, which is probably the easiest question. Obviously, you've got to be looking at the preliminary material, but we'll look at that later. Asks you to create a TV pitch. Now, this year's is basically it gives you any subgenre as long as you do it about teenagers. Now, I've picked something that if the Nazis were to win World War II, what would it modern day be like? Now, and obviously there's a movie about that, but mine's all about 2 people, Alex and Emily, how they run around in like a conflict war zone, and it's like kind of a romance. But basically, it's probably going to ask you to design a first episode, and you'll be looking at Todorov for that. Make sure you get your fairies in. This year, you don't want to use prop because it's too stereotypical, and you want your characters to be relatable. So obviously, looking at Blummer and Cats there, and it'll probably ask you for the first episode. And maybe an outline of the overall plot. So you've got to make sure it's obviously realistic. Do not leave it for the last day. You will regret it if you do. And it's very important that you get this right, because for question 3 and 4 you get the most marks for relating it back to question 2, so which is really important. Now, question 3 usually asks you to write either a storyboard, website, trailer, or an intro sequence. Now, this year it's probably going towards a website, because it talks a lot about e-media in the pre-release. I've got a copy in front of me, and so it's probably going to be a website, but it might not be. I'm gonna guess there, because it still could be a storyboard, website, trailer, or intro sequence. So make sure you got all of them down. And obviously, if you're going to do a storyboard, you got to make sure you fill all 10 slots, at least 8. If you don't do 8, you are not going to get the marks. Make sure you number all the shots. I know it sounds stupid, but you could interpret either way, really. And yeah, make sure it looks good. And you've got to obviously draw the pictures. Make sure you're an artist. I am not an artist, but you've got to make sure it looks good. By the way, this is Alan. Yeah, if you didn't notice, this is Alan the. I have no idea what animal he is. Anyway, let's move on to question 4 now. It's all about your promotion. How are you going to promote your serial drama? Now, it probably ask you how you're going to do it. Obviously, this is all about e-media and online stuff. So this is talking about teenagers and binge watching. So you've obviously got to say you've got to have cliffhangers at the end of your program to make sure they're constantly watching and they want to see what happens next. Enigma codes there. Maybe looking at the radio and how you're going to promote it on the TV. Not so much posters, billboards, that kind of stuff, conventions. Obviously, it still might ask you about that, but it could be just about your media looking at the pre-release. So it's all about promotion, that one. Now, obviously, when we're looking at the pre-release, I've picked out a few quotes appropriate for a teenage audience, which means it's obviously got to be about teenagers looking at your Bumler and Cats. They make sure it's relatable for them, and it says any subgenre, so you've got a wide choice there when it comes to question 2. And he mentions teenagers, like I've stated before, which obviously goes on towards possibly a website for question 3, which, to be honest, will be quite a release. I think it'd be quite good for a website, so make sure you've got your website done, if at the very least. The last part of this video, we're going to be moving on to the theories. Now, the first theory you've got, which is probably the most important, is your Blumler and Cats. And I didn't quote the anagram, my teacher did, who I'm not going to name, quote the anagram of PIES, which is the P stands for personal identity. So how characters relate to the characters, and how people relate to the characters in the show. The I is for information, how you get information from the show. E, entertainment and escapism. They watch the show because they enjoy it and they like to immerse themselves in that world. And S is for social interaction, how they go around, talk to other people, such as word of mouth, for example. So that's Blumler and Cats. Why people watch TV shows. Todorov asked for the 5 stages, which are the equilibrium period, where everything is normal, the disruption by a certain event, obviously, the recognition of the disruption, attempts to repair, so the repair, and return to the equilibrium. Now, for shows like the one that we're doing this year, the pre-release suggests that obviously it's going to be a binge watch show. If you want to go on cliffhangers, there's often not going to be a new equilibrium, so it's probably going to attempt to repair destruction, and then it might start all over again for the next episode, and then it may not conclude even up until the point at the end of the series. It could last even several series. You've got your Barb's Enigma codes, which are constant mysteries throughout series. This is probably why I watch most TV shows of Doctor Who. There's a lot of ongoing mysteries, like Missy in the Vault, the crack in the wall, and the impossible girl, stuff like that. Then you've got your prop, not really looking at that for this year, but however you can mention it in question 1. So that's what character types the characters are, such as the hero, the villain, bearing in mind that one character can be multiple, so make sure you research that. You've got your Levi Strauss, which is your binary opposition, which 2 characters are completely different. And then that's probably all the theories that I think you need to know. And then you got mise en scene, which isn't actually a theory, but it's very useful, especially for question 2 when you're designing your TV show, and question 3 if it's an intro sequence or something like that. When mise en scene refers to, yes, I know what you're thinking, and I can't spell it either. It basically means your costumes, you got your lighting, props, and your setting. So basically it's just your setting, what's in the actual setting. And yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope this video helped you. Let me know in the comments down below what other things you want me to do. Obviously, I'm not going to do stuff like that I don't actually do, that because obviously it won't be very useful if I start talking about French. And the French I know is bonjour, and to be honest, I thought I was Spanish a few days ago. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a like and tell me in the comments below what you want to see. I'm probably going to be doing English next, and I'll probably focus on that a lot, because English is probably one of the easiest subjects to do if you know what you're doing, because obviously you've got the different questions, and they're going to come up in an order, and it's not going to change, probably. That's what I've been told anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Goodbye.